Patrick Netherton Show back and rolling on a Tuesday. We're joined now by the chairman of the Independence Bowl. He is Art Carmody, Lou Groza Award winner, best damn kicker in all the land. Art Carmody joins us. All right, Art, before we get into all the good stuff, the kickoff dinner and the Indy Bowl and all that, give me, if I put you down right now on a football field, how far could you kick? What's the longest you could go and kick a field goal?
Actually, when I was out at the kid combine that we had, not the kid combine, the kids clinic, back at the beginning of June, I was standing out at about 45 yard field goal and thinking to myself, that looked really far. I could probably get it there, but it would really hurt.
Okay.
So probably 45 in it.
Okay. Well, there's about 250 teams that would take a guy right now that could kick a 45-yarder, I can assure you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. When I work with college kickers or even high school kickers, I tell them, listen, if you're 45 and in, as long as you're accurate from there, a coach will love you.
No doubt about it. Kicker is worth their weight in gold sometimes. Luckily, you don't weigh that much, so you wouldn't cost that much. All right, Art. Thursday night, big event. It last year with Drew Brees, it switched from the luncheon to the dinner. Great success with it. Big house. A lot of people were in. And of course, Drew Brees brings a lot of folks. Give me some idea of what we're expecting. Devin White, the guest speaker now, and kind of the reaction you're getting from having moved it from lunch to dinner, and what we're seeing in terms of a buzz leading into this one on Thursday.
Yeah, well, it's always, like you said, it's always been a luncheon, and last year we had to move it to a dinner to accommodate Drew and the Saints practice, and kind of just one of those things where it turned out to be a great success. So we decided as a committee to keep it as a dinner. It allows people not have to worry about rushing to and from work during the day. And there's been a lot of buzz for it. Obviously, Devin was kind of the perfect candidate for it with the career he had at LSU and then being a top 5 draft pick in the NFL. He's a charismatic young man. I think that he'll have a great time telling stories from his playing days at North Webster and at LSU and in what it's been like so far to be a top 5 draft pick and all that comes with that. So I'm looking forward to it. We thought we may have to cancel because the MC was driving a hard bargain,
right.
But he's the best in the business, and we were able to lock him down for it. So we're really excited about that, and it should be a fun evening. I mean, you've been to a majority of these over the years.
Yeah.
And, the format's great. It's not a motivational talk. It's not an X's and O's strategy. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of storytelling. And it's a great event for football fans and even a family event. Devin, I'm sure, will talk about Daisy May and the horses and whatnot. So it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, you just missed out on our Mr. Ed conversation that we were having moments ago. But we did find out.
Sorry, I missed that.
Yeah, well, you should be. We did find out, though, that Daisy May is going to Tampa. And is going to be in Tampa. He's already got a stable lined up that is going to take care of her. So he's got her handled. She's ready to go. And I thought that was the most important question I asked when I had him on a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, that's a huge question that people want to know, and that's why you're one of the best in the business. You ask the questions that people want answers to.
That's right. Checks in the mail. Art, I appreciate all the kind words. All right, so tickets, where to buy them, time, all that stuff. Give us all the details for those that are maybe on the fence thinking about, hey, do I want to go do this? Yeah,
well, it's Thursday night, and it's going to be at the convention center downtown. The doors open, the cocktail hours at 5:30. The buffet opens at 6. Always a great buffet, and the programs will start at 6:45. You can call into the Independence Bowl ticket office for tickets, or go online to the Independence Bowl website.
All right, so this is an interesting time for the Indy Bowl right now because you're kind of in transition. We had Brett McMurphy on a little while back when he said, according to his sources, it looked like the Pac-12 would be a done deal. I know you can't talk a whole lot about what's going on behind the scenes, but I did want to give you an opportunity to sort of address everything that's going on. What do you feel like? Where do you feel like you stand? Do you like where everything sits as, you work to whatever the bowl goes forward in terms of their tie-ins?
Yeah, and you obviously teed up that question perfectly.
Right.
There's a whole lot I can't talk about. If you'd asked me this question, Patrick, probably about a month ago, I would have been honest and told you I don't feel good about where things were trending with the conference negotiations and some of the feedback we were getting. But as of today, I feel a lot better about it. I think that we're in a good place with the conferences that we're talking to, as well as ESPN. They've assisted a little bit with this process, and there'll be a rotation of things. I can't get into too many details, but I think it will bring a lot of variety to this bowl game, and we're just hoping to kind of wrap that up in the next few weeks. Media days are going to start next week, and the circus that comes with all that. There'll be discussions of the new bowl tie-ins across the country, and so we're hoping to have some things kind of figured out in the next few weeks so that we can put that to rest and really start focusing on this year's game.
Yeah, and speaking of this year's game, one of the kind of, I don't say uphill battles, sort of, but one of the things you always have to deal with is you don't get to pick when your game is. That's an ESPN issue. They're slotting where they want all the bowls to play. Walk me through. Do you get any say in the process? Is it hey, let's talk about these things, or is it ESPN just basically calls you and says, all right, here's your date, here's your time, go get it?
Well, I can only speak to being on the executive committee the last, I think it's my 5th year with the executive committee. And in a few years past, it was, they'd give you 2 options. Now, they would be kind of similar, but you kind of have a choice. This year, they call and they say, hey, the game is going to be this date and this time. And I will say, a lot of things go into these decisions, and I don't even know if this is public record, but I'll say it anyways. But there was discussion that maybe we could be on ESPN2 Friday the 3rd at 7 p.m., which we thought that was a great option, and we asked that ESPN run it through their decision makers and see if that was worthwhile. But just in the spirit of how things work, they didn't want that competing against programming that they had on ESPN. At that time, they liked their bowl week all their games to be on ESPN.
Right.
So, we were defaulted back to the date and time that they originally gave us. I mean, ESPN's a great partner, and they, them trying to help us out and put us on ESPN2, we really appreciated them even trying that for us. Just didn't happen to work out. And then one thing I think people don't realize is that, we've tried to we asked a few years ago about maybe moving the game prior to Christmas, maybe the weekend before. And, part of the ACC's, part of their conference agreement with all the bowls is they try to not have them pre-Christmas because they want to make sure that they get all their exams and everything out of the way before bowl practice. So that's just another, thing that we have to deal with. And, the ACC has been a great partner and sent us some great teams over the years. But, one of those things, they try not to play bowl games prior to Christmas. Talking
to Art Carmody, the chairman of the Independence Bowl. It's interesting because you mentioned, hey, maybe put us on ESPN2 and maybe at a more advantageous date. But it kind of, to me, brings an interesting thing into play, and that is the way people consume their media now is changing in such a way that it doesn't feel like if you're on ESPN2 that you're in somehow a lesser channel than ESPN, because it feels like, does anybody have ESPN and not ESPN2 these days? It sure doesn't feel like it.
Right. And obviously, the ESPN, they got to do what's in the best interest of their company. And I believe that date there's a college basketball NBA doubleheader possibly.
Oh, there you go.
And they didn't want us to be competing against those eyeballs, even though it's a completely different sport. I get it. They're running a business and they've got to do what's best for them.
All right, tell me about what's going down with walk-ons right now. It seemed like it's been a very good, advantageous deal with both sides. I know they're getting towards the part where they're kind of done with their original deal, but still have the pickup that they can get for the last couple of years. Tell me where you're at with walk-ons right now.
Yeah, they've been fantastic to deal with, and I can't speak to a lot of prior sponsors, but they've been real hands-on, and we've had multiple meetings and phone conversations with Scott and Katie, kind of their decision makers with walk-ons. And we go through all the events and the kickoff dinner and what's expected of them throughout the rest of the fall and through the game. And they've been great to work with. And part of their decision is going to be obviously based on what the next 6-year cycle is going to look like. So once we kind of finish that up and we've kept them in the loop through the entire process, once we kind of finish that up, they will, sit down and think about what's best for them. But obviously they've got all the way up through the game that they can work in good faith before they make a decision on years 4 and 5. But, I mean, they've been a fantastic partner and have been great to work with. And looking forward to seeing them Thursday night. They'll be here for the event, and it'll be a good time.
What's it been like? Because, we on the outside, even those of us in the media who, look, I know all the folks at the Indy Bowl, you included, there's people I could reach out to off the record to ask about stuff. A lot of times I'm not going to get anything. Sometimes I will. Just depends on the situation. But I'm curious, what's it been like for you being, in the room for the last, 4 years and now being the guy this year? What's that been like in terms of the perception that maybe you had of this going in or growing up in Shreveport, the perception of how the bowl worked versus now when you now understand the inner workings of it?
Yeah, and I kind of understood a little bit of it just from going to bowl games as a player. I was fortunate to do that and seeing kind of the inner workings there. And then, volunteering the first 5 years I was with the foundation and seeing the workings there. It's been eye-opening for sure. It's been frustrating at times because there's a lot of things that, I said when I took over as chairman, I want to be as transparent as possible with the media and the fans in the area. They're the ones that have supported the bowl over the last 44 years, and I think I've tried to do that to the best of my abilities with everything that's going on. Obviously, there are agreements in place, with TV and conferences where you can't talk a whole lot about what goes on. But I think that's been the most frustrating part is just you want to be as transparent as possible, and I would love to, right now sit and go through, A through Z. Hey, this is what has happened with the conference negotiations. This is the feedback we've gotten, good and bad. Hopefully we'll be able to do that maybe after the fact. But until that's all said and done, you can't really divulge the cards and what's going on. So that's probably been the most frustrating thing. The best part about it though is the volunteer and community support that we do see when we put on the events. The kids combine, the kids clinic, the kickoff dinner Thursday night, the tennis tournament that we'll do in August, and the 5K and the half marathon, which I will not be running the half marathon. Seeing that in August, seeing that in September and seeing all the support and people having fun. That's been the most rewarding thing is seeing that people care about the community and want to see good things stay here in Shreveport.
It's funny you mentioned transparency. I kind of liken it to the presidency, right? Every president goes in, and we're going to be the most transparent presidency you've ever seen. They get there, and everybody's like, wait a second. Let me tell you all the things you can't talk about. And,
right.
It ends up being you can't really be transparent because there's a lot of stuff that's going on behind the scenes.
Right, exactly. And that's been the frustrating part about it.
Well, I will say this: you've been as open with us as any chairman we've had, and I do appreciate that.
No, absolutely, and I plan on being that way. And like I said, as soon as this thing kind of finishes up, I want to say we're in the final lap of this thing, but we started this process over 2 years ago, and I thought this would have been wrapped up last June, and we're still trying to finish it out. But I got to give a lot of credit to the staff and, Trey Giglio, past chairman, and our executive committee, as we've been as proactive through this process as possible. And, I'd love to sit down and explain it at some point, how this all shakes out. But no, I appreciate you saying that. And I'm going to try to be as transparent as possible, through the end of this year.
Talking to Art Carmody, chairman of the Indy Bowl. Art, does being a former high-level Division I athlete, does that inform you in some way to be a part of a bowl that maybe other folks don't have that advantage of?
What's that? What's that cool?
Well, being a former Division I athlete at the highest level, Power 5 conference, does that give you some sort of does that inform you in some way that maybe gives you an advantage when it comes to dealing with a lot of this stuff?
I think a little bit. I think obviously the more you're involved with the foundation and with the organization, you can have the conversations and help make the decisions necessary to continue the game. I don't think it gives me any type of advantage or any more level of expertise. I think where it does help is when you're in the meetings with the conference administrators and athletic directors from the schools and the coaches. They're you know how it is in athletics. There's the 6 degrees of separation of everybody. Whether I played for a coach that coached with a coach on staff, or I worked with somebody that's in an athletic department at another school. Everybody kind of knows everybody in that little fraternity. So it does present advantages there. But in terms of being the chairman of this game, no. I mean, we've had many past chairmen that have maybe never played a down of football that or have probably done a better job than I have so far.
Yeah.
Just really immersed ourselves in the foundation and what's going on.
Well, when you tell the Pac-12, look, you're going to let us pick second as long as I make this 30-yard field goal, you already have an advantage right there. See,
absolutely.
That's the new negotiating tactic. I'll give that to you for free. All right, I won't charge you for that one.
Yeah,
go ahead.
So far in the negotiations, there have been no physical challenges.
Okay, well that's good.
It's a little disappointing.
It's not Double Dare all of a sudden.
Right,
yeah.
Exactly.
Art, again, Thursday night. You'll be speaking as usual, right? I'm assuming you'll have a part to play in that. We'll get to hear from you, correct?
Yeah, but it sucks because you have to go after this MC and kind of set the table, and people are laughing and clapping. There's a standing ovation.
Yeah.
I've got to wait for the crowd to die down. I've been YouTubing some, kind of like Dwight Schrute, been YouTubing some prior speeches just to get prepared for following the MC that we have Thursday night.
Well, I understand. Look, those are very large shoes to fill. They were 13s, but after I lost 90 pounds, they're 12 and a half. So there you go. So, look, we're looking forward to it, man. It's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. Thursday night, 6 o'clock, doors open at 5:30. 6 o'clock, they start serving food. Show begins at 6:45. And as usual, Art, I'm going to try to make sure we get things rolling on time, all right? That's what I'm here for.
That's why you're the best in the biz, man.
That's what I'm here for. I appreciate it, Art. Thank you.
Thanks.
That was Independence Bowl Chairman Art Carmody. How about that? Learned some things we didn't know.